All right, everybody, what's up? And welcome to Sportstopia, Fantasy Fire and Ice. I'm your host, Corey Parson, the fantasy executive, joined by Cody Carpentier. Hope I said that properly and correctly. Got a lot of things going on, a lot of things to get to today as we get ready to get you a lineup that's going to make you a ton of money in DFS this week. And that is our job here. We are going to help build a lineup. Cody's going to be one part. I got a special guest joining us in just a second. But I think the most important thing to begin the program with is to let you know that Sportstopia.io is live. I repeat, breaking news. Put it on the scroll. Sportstopia.io is live. You can head over there now and see all the cool features. As a matter of fact, another thing you can do is take your telephone, trust the thing right here, hit that QR code, and that'll pop up the Contrarian Edge Optimizer. And Cody, last night, that Contrarian Edge Optimizer almost had our founder, Daryl Snyder, in the catbird seat.
Big game Thursday night. I mean, the NFL kicked off week 1. That's what we've been waiting for it seems like forever. The offseason takes forever. But, yeah, we got here, and Thursday Night Football was good. It was a close game between the Chiefs and Lions. Lions pulled it out. And before we jump down here, we talked to Daryl about his near champion lineup last night. Daryl, how you doing?
I'm awesome. How you doing, Cody? Hey, Corey.
What's going on? So, Daryl, I see you got the nice view back there. You at the penthouse. You know what I'm saying? Daryl Snyder, the founder, Sportstopia.io. All right, take us through it. Set the stage. You know what I'm saying? Set the stage. You go ahead. Give me from running the optimizer, putting the lineups in, all the way into that final thrill of, well, not thrill of victory.
The agony of being close, right? It was a defeat, but I took down with that particular lineup a whopping $62, and I was 3.1 points away from what would have been 76,000. It would have been a 13-way tie, but we talked about it. I mean, it was so obvious after the fact. Kelce, everybody waited around, right? Kelce ruled out, so that shifted everybody, knowing you didn't have to play him. And so ran the optimizer, did 100 lineups, and there's only 2 tight ends, right, that were, I think, active, unless they brought up I don't know, they talked about bringing up the guy off the practice squad, but it was Gray and Bell, and lo and behold, I played Gray.
Yeah.
But less than 3% of the people played Bell, and that little 3.1 point difference, it is what it is, right? I kind of tossed and turned a little bit and then just try to put it out of my mind, and I said, you know what? Sunday is another day.
And Sunday is coming up, and another chance to get after it. So make sure you hit that QR code, get that optimizer so you can be like Daryl, just 3 points away from the big one. But maybe, you know what? You hit it and take it down. Now, going into getting prepared for that, did you have any biases, or were you just like, you know what? Run the optimizer, see what it throws me. Did you do any settings? Did you lock anybody in? Did you have a specific process or thought? Or there was some guys you wanted specifically? Or was it just, you know what? Let it rip.
You know what? I'm going to have total transparency. Because yesterday was the official launch day of Sportstopia.io, I was on call after call after call after call. I did have put a few lineups in. I set it kind of in auto mode on that drafters best ball to get a few more lineups into that. And up until kickoff, so Leonard, my chief technologist, I messaged him and I said, look, I want 100 lineups. I want as diverse as possible. I said, I was booked solid. I said, don't fade anybody. Just give me different, as different as you can get on 100, and have it, be 50% max exposure. I said, and I could have went down less. So, and I just hit the button. I mean, I didn't fade anybody. And ironically, I was on the phone. I was telling Cody before the show came on with another gentleman, and we were talking specifically about Reynolds and the tight end situation. As we were talking, they ruled Kelce out, and he said, "Yeah, it's gonna be Bell and Gray, but probably more Gray, right?" So, and by the time I got up, I looked at my lineups to make sure on DraftKings that there wasn't anybody scratched, right? You always want to check that when you're running lineups, and so it just did its thing. I didn't fade. I didn't prefer. I'm probably going to get a little more specific. There's a big difference between a showdown slate, 294,000, and that Millie Maker last night.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of condensed, right? Because you 150 max, and so that's why the top, it was 100,000 that 12 people took down, right? And the reason that only 12 did was because of Bell being less than 3% owned. So that's what you want to look for. We were talking again earlier, it's that last year I watched what I thought about putting this optimizer together, and it's hard to believe, but I would, without exaggeration, would say 90% of the time the Millie Maker winner has somebody in that lineup that, like last night, right? You would think last night, that situation. So the long answer is Leonard, through my asking him to do it, because I was literally on calls after calls, he didn't touch any of the features, but there are some, you can do what you want to do and get super,
no doubt,
super paid.
Shout out to Leonard.
So you look at the tight end position. You said you had you had Gray, obviously, and obviously we know one of the most unpredictable things in all of football is the touchdown, right? And so Bell, of course, catches that touchdown. Now you mentioned also out of those 100 lineups, did you say you had like one duplicate or two duplicates or something like that? Is that what you said? I can't remember.
I had what?
You had one dupe or two dupes out of the whole 100?
I only had two dupes. Yeah, they placed. Yeah.
Okay, and then talking about like percentages of ownership on year 100, did you have like a considerable amount of Gray across all the lineups? Did you have any Bell at all? Any Bell come in anywhere?
No.
No Bell. Okay. That's a tough one though, because like you said, like we're waiting on that Kelsey news, and it's that's immediately what I said was like you can just look at everybody in fantasy starting lineups. Like you can see it in some FFPC drafts I was tracking yesterday that are live in Vegas right now. You could see like Gray just shoot up draft boards because everyone's instantly went, and the output we saw from Noah Gray last year. So it made sense. But you can think back to Blake Bell all the way back to college, scoring the touchdowns in random situations. So that is interesting. Now, what I would say, did you have any wide receivers on the slate yesterday that were
I really like
any ideal guys?
Yeah, I mean that's what I checked. I mean, I gave it the eyeball check when it was entered to see if I wanted to move. And yesterday there was a lot of salary left over, right? We talked about that. A lot of people, they want to smash in there, right? They don't look at what may be different to give them that advantage. They look at salary and they start pushing in. Wow, I got $2,600 and I can play so.
Let me upgrade here. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, instead of Bell. But I like Sky Moore a lot. I like Tony a lot. I thought Mahomes without Kelce is going to have to, move it around, and they tanked, right? I mean, the one receiver I liked on the Rams side, because St. Brown was, mine was getting right. I mean, everybody was going to play about mine, but who's the other guy? So I liked Reynolds, and I wanted to make sure I had him in the captain. Very low on my second place team.
Nice.
If I would have played the guy that went off, that again was low owned, was Rice. He got that touchdown. The lineup I had Reynolds, if I would have had Rice instead of Tony, I would have tied with 127 people and won 5,600. So that's how.
There you go. Well, Kadarius Tony definitely ruined a lot of people's nights last night. So tough one for him. But it's time to turn the page, right? Let's see if we can give it another run. Hit that QR code, hop in here and give it a run with us. I believe we do have a 7-day test drive for a $1 price. Trust me, you will get that money back. Once again, the site is live now too, Cody, if I'm not mistaken. You got some rankings up there already. So that's sportstopia.io. Is that you that got the rankings up there, or did I mess that up, Cody?
Yes, sir. So you can see my quarterback, my running back, my wide receiver, and then there's a fourth article that's tight end, kicker, and defense. So all those rankings are up with 4 or 5 paragraphs explaining each position, why the rankings are built the way they are. and those have been up since the site launched. So if you're looking for your start sit stuff going into Sunday morning, go check that out over at sportstopia.io. If you got any questions, you can just tweet at me at Carpentier NFL, and I'll respond to you anything you got. So yeah. So
now, so far, the only thing we've asked y'all for is $1 on the 7-day test drive. So the least you can do is hit that subscribe button on the Sportstopia YouTube page. Now, the highest total on the week is a very intriguing matchup. AFC. This is almost like the AFC almost has a playoff type atmosphere every week because of how loaded the conference is. So Miami Dolphins, Los Angeles Chargers, total in this one sitting at 50.5. Now, this game last year, this was a low scoring game, and the Chargers really did a good job of shutting Tua and that offense down. So Cody, I'll start with you. When it comes to exposure from this game right here with this high total, what are you looking at? What do you think?
I want it. That's what I'm like. That's exactly what I'm going to go directly to, right? I have Eckler high in my rankings this week. I think Eckler's a guy that you have to focus on, right, in this running back position, because you have McCaffrey. I don't know if McCaffrey's on the main slate or not offhand, but I know Eckler is, and Eckler I think is going to be a pivotal point of any roster you build. And then also looking at like the wide receivers, you know what the quarterbacks are already, but people I don't think are giving Quentin Johnston's opportunities enough thought. I know on Twitter and the fantasy community, they are not fans of Quentin Johnston, but
I wonder why.
I wonder why. Yeah. But at Roster Watch, we go to all the training camps, and Bayer went out to the Chargers training camp and basically said, like, there's a role for him, right? Josh Palmer's going to have his. Keenan Allen and Mike Williams are going to do their thing. Gerald Everett looks good, but Quentin Johnston's got a couple of roles. Like, he's going to be running slants. He's going to be running fades. He's going to be running that deep ball. You remember what Jalen Guyton did, and we're pretty sure that Quentin Johnston's a little bit better than Jalen Guyton was, right? And Jalen Guyton's a guy, Daryl's talking about finding those cheap, deep guys. I remember 2-3 years ago, he was one of those guys that was like week after week, he's 3,000, he's 3,100, he's 3,200. And you could throw that dart, especially when you're putting 100, 120 lineups, because he's so cheap. And if he does catch 3 footballs for 96 yards and a touchdown, it's going to pay off in dividends, right? So I think Quentin Johnston's a very interesting guy because so many people in the space are off of him. So I don't think anybody's gonna be playing him in week 1. And you're talking about this big matchup against the Dolphins, where there's obviously no Ramsey, right? So we're going to see some Kadar Kehu. There's just guys that they don't want to be actually starting in this game. On the opposite side, Jalen Waddle's nursing a little bit of an injury. So I think Tyreek Hill obviously is going to have the target share there. One that I'm kind of coming around on just for value sake is Durham Smythe, because with the training camp tour I mentioned before,
okay,
that's the type, right? It's literally Durham Smythe. You're like, hey, what? Like, he was getting snaps while Gesicki was there, and like, wow. Gesicki obviously, like, every week was the most disappointing thing.
That horrible gritty
for fantasy owners,
disgusting.
But so then that's the thing is, like, I was talking, the trash man went down there, and it was like, it's so clear. Everybody knows it's Tyreek and Waddle, but like, those guys can't split, 50% target share each. That's impossible, right? So who's the third guy? He goes, well, it's a receiver. It's Braxton Berrios. I'm like, all right, so that's interesting. That's interesting from a target perspective, right? Because Chosen Anderson was there, got cut. Now he's back in the practice squad. Eric Ezukama got some good beat on Twitter for a while there. But I was like, okay, so tight end. The only tight end they use in the passing game is Durham Smythe. So I think Durham Smythe is a low-key guy in Miami. And then the opposite of the ball, it doesn't, to me, like, but by namesake, Quentin Johnston's not a low-key guy, but because of the disrespect he garners on the internet, Quentin Johnston's a low-key guy as well, I think, in this matchup.
Interesting, Daryl. My thing with this game is this, right? It talked about the expectations for this game last year being high, and the Chargers doing a good job of shutting Miami down. They get their numbers as well. But then this year, you add into the mix a new offensive coordinator in Kellen Moore, and with the Chargers, and some people, and kind of like what I saw in season-long leagues, right? Coming down the stretch, as you get down the stretch in season-long leagues, that's when the stake get a little bit higher, when the big boys start playing. What I noticed was Eckler would start sliding down, and I asked people, why is that? And they're like, well, we just don't know what the usage is going to be under Kellen Moore. Are you comfortable that the usage would be the same going into this season?
Was that for Daryl for me? I thought that was for Daryl.
Well, it was for Daryl, but if you want to take it, Cody, whatever, go first. Both of y'all.
My question, I'll let Cody answer, is Kellen Moore, where did he come from, and what's been his style? His history style. I mean, is he more of a quarterback to the receivers, or is he?
Well, he was with Dallas. His style is ruining the game plan. If you ask me,
his style is like I would get down to the 2 and bringing in Zeke and having him.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Having the best racehorses is his style. But what do you think, Cody? Have you heard that about Eckler coming into this year?
Yeah, I mean, of course, right? So he was on a couple of fantasy podcasts. He's awesome as far as being in the fantasy space.
He is in the space.
He's been on a couple shows where the discussion has come up like, oh, your usage, it's so high over the last couple of years. Do you like that? Do you whatever? And he's like, no, like I know my body needs a little bit of rest. I know I need to bring somebody else in. And I think we've seen like incremental steps from Joshua Kelly and Isaiah Spiller, incremental ones at best, to kind of fill in as that backup role. I think Elijah Dotson, to be honest with you, in the long run, I think he's going to be the guy that ends up getting more carries as the season actually wanes. But as far as I think the game script goes, I don't know how you can really take Eckler out of a game, right? So because of the guys that are behind him, they don't like if they went out and picked up Leonard Fournette in the next week, right? And it's like, okay, then you could have a discussion where it's okay, it would make sense why you'd be off of Eckler. But as far as like what they're showing us from the running backs that are in the room and what we've seen from Kelly, what we've seen from Spiller, I'm not worried about the Eckler usage going down into the 50%, right? I'm not worried about that. So I think he trains. I think he keeps his body in good enough shape that I'm not really worried. Now Kellen Moore, that's a whole different animal, right? Obviously he had Zeke and Pollard in Dallas. So I don't think there's, if you call Austin Eckler the Zeke of this situation, of backing up a couple years, right? As far as usage goes, there's not a Pollard here. Like there just isn't. As far as talent, as far as abilities, as far as output, as far as athleticism, there just isn't one. So I think that's why you just don't see that. Now, could they use like gadgety guys like Darius Davis around that? We've seen Quentin Johnson work out of the backfield in jet, not out of the backfield, but in jet sweeps and things like this. Sure. But I don't think it's going to be hard. I would say it's hard for Kellen Moore to kind of nuke an Austin Eckler situation unless he kind of eliminates him from the passing game, which I think would be
that would be a tremendous mistake.
Moot decision, yeah.
Hey, Daryl, check this lineup out right here. Tua, Rashad White, that's the Tampa running back. Green Bay running back Aaron Jones, Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, Marvin Mims seems is somebody that the algorithm likes a lot this week. Luke Musgrave, DK Metcalf, and the Seahawks defense.
I like it. I was looking. What's Musgrove's price as a tight end?
Hold on, I should tell you right here. Musgrave is $2,900.
Yeah, and I was looking at Smythe. He's $2,800, and you got Quentin Johnson at $4,400. So Cody, either Musgrave or Smythe. If you like Smythe, as kind of that, that's a sniper. Him or Musgrave, you could interchange them, right? You put one lineup with maybe Musgrave, one with Smythe, and it gives you same thing, right? Ownership on Smythe as dad is projected at almost zero. I mean, Musgrove's probably going to get a little more ownership just because he's kind of been featured as, that tight end, number one tight end that Love has kind of clicked with. But I like that, Corey. I like that lineup.
The thing with
right?
I'll just jump in quick with the thing with Musgrave. The thing with Musgrave is literally we've seen it, right? We think he can do it, but it's the rookie narrative, and I think Laporta kind of is that. Last night was the first step into. On the surface, we all think back to all the rookie tight ends of the past decade, right? Kyle Pitts was the one that kind of went against the grain. He obviously got his 1,000 yards, but I think that this class is definitely one. So this is kind of a for Musgrave situation here. I think this class is one where I think, Laporta showed it last night. He went out and got 5 targets, caught all 5. Musgrave, he's going to get just pushed into that role. Michael Mayer's a guy that, on paper, he's behind Austin Hooper right now, but I think he's going to be a guy that overtakes him. Like this whole entire, and Kincaid, obviously we ain't got to bring up Kincaid. He's going to be playing wide receiver for the Bills. So I know a lot of people are kind of anti-tight end, rookie tight end in situations, but I think you have to take it in 2 different views because it's pretty clear what Musgrave's going to get as far as the targets go. I don't think we're going to have maybe this is too soon, but I don't think we're gonna have a Sky Moore situation where we're all in on Sky Moore, and then he drops.
This is how I look at the quarterbacks for this week, right? I think you got to go at the top, right? You got Lamar Jackson with that matchup, right, versus Houston at home. Big contract, Todd Monken offense. We expect big things from Jackson this year. Jalen Hurts on the road versus the New England Patriots. But you got a new offensive coordinator there, but I don't think this is really going to matter that much. Last year, I slept on Jalen Hurts the whole year, and I'm not going to do that no more. That was very problematic. It didn't really help my bottom line. Those are the two big ones that really kind of start the slate, at least from looking at sliding down the slate from where I see it. I don't know if we're ready to really go with Anthony Richardson yet. This Vegas Raiders number just moved. This number is coming in. Geno is an option, but let me just get to what I want to get to, right? I want to play Jordan Love. This week. I think the scoring is coming in that Packers-Bears game. That's where I think the scoring is going to be at. I see Aaron Jones popping up in these lineups, and I'm like, maybe, okay, so you don't want to do Jordan Love. Say you go Justin Fields, right? Aaron Jones. But then where do we get what wide receivers? Are we going? We don't know what the Packers wide receiver situation is going to be. And I'm like, Mooney and Chark and what's the other guy that they brought in? I'm just not in love with their receivers.
Yeah.
Claypool for the Bears.
Yeah, Claypool. That's very good. Thanks, Darryl.
Claypool, I don't know. We haven't heard a lot from Claypool on socials and stuff, but Trashman was up at the Bears camp and he basically came away saying like Claypool's the alpha when it comes to targets in training camp. In training camp, right? He said no, they can cover Claypool, but he's the target getter, and nobody can cover DJ Moore. So I don't know if that says more about Fields' trust in Claypool or lack of trust and connection with DJ Moore. But again, Claypool's been there a little bit. He got traded there last year, so he's got a little more reps in with Fields. He's another interesting one, right? I think everyone's got a sour taste in their mouth on Claypool right now, but he's another interesting one, I think.
That is interesting. I'm going to try to find him and throw him in the optimizer right quick. And y'all can give me a hand by hitting that QR code, taking that 7-day test drive, and be like, hey, exec, this is where he's at right here. Stop scrolling. Yeah, I know, right? So I did run one with Chicago. Justin Fields, listen, you got your boy, Austin Eckler, Deion Jackson, DJ Moore, Elijah Moore, Jamar Chase, David Njoku, Zach Charbonnet, and the Washington Commanders defense. I also see some of these. Well, I'll get to that in a second with the Commander. But DJ Moore and Mooney are the ones that's coming up, Cody, and not Chase Claypool. So that Chase Claypool could be a home run pick right there. That could be your Drew Smythe, Darryl, or whatever his name is.
I think that Claypool's an interesting one. Looks like he's at 3,400 right now on DraftKings. I want to see what his ownership is at here. See if I can find this.
Yeah, because not Claypool, because yeah, of course they're not going to really. Let me see if
I don't show him with a lot of ownership at all. He's not, but again, the feeds will be coming. But I have a question real quick back on Miami. What about that Shane? He's been starting to appear different. You like him, or what? Think he's going to do anything out of the backfield? That rookie they brought in?
What's it, Miami?
Yeah.
A-Chain? Oh, yeah. So I like Mostert, honestly. A-Chain's coming off a little bit of an injury. I think they're going to work him in, but that was the number one thing I was worried about. I wasn't big on A-Chain coming out just because, I mean, obviously the talent is really, really apparent for anybody that turns the tape on for Devin A-Chain, but 185, whatever he is right now, you don't know what their in-season weight is at, but 185 pounds-ish at the running back position. This is not, you guys think like Chris Johnson's of the world where they took on 300, 320, 340 kills.
Your mic is going in and out a little bit. There you go.
Yeah.
My mic's going to bed?
There you go. There you go.
Yeah. You got it. You're back.
Maybe it's me. Maybe it's me going in and out. But so sorry. So Devon A-Chain, I don't think he can take on a workload like the Chris Johnson stuff of yesteryear. But I think the thing is Raheem Mostert's a guy that He was number 2 last year in speed in the NFL, miles per hour, right behind Tyreek Hill. He's healthy.
Wow.
They say he's bulked up a little bit, and they focused on him. And he came over, of course, from San Francisco. I think with the running back field in Miami, at least right until something changes, I'm going to roll with Mostert. I like the A-chain angle, but I just think coming off of injury, being a rookie, and not having the maximum ability in training
reps,
camp, every rep.
And then I think that game is going to be a low scoring game. Right quick, I want to share this one with y'all right here. This fight actually might make an appearance this weekend in some of my lineups. Justin Fields, Christian McCaffrey, Miles Sanders, Chase Claypool, Darnell Mooney, Cortland Sutton, Mark Andrews, TJ Hawkinson. I wouldn't run the Patriots defense out there, but that's intriguing right there. You get Claypool in there with McCaffrey and Sanders.
I like that. I don't love the double. I don't love the double up with Mooney.
The 2 tight ends on Mooney. Yeah, I get that. Okay.
The double bear receiver, and so you'd be basically be fading DJ Moore. I think that's I mean, hey, that's interesting, right? Normally they say the best looking rosters don't always win; the ugly ones do. But
the problem I have with that one is Fields. He's going to take off and run.
Yeah,
What I did, Corey, with AutoStack, I think Keith brought it up. AutoStack, we found correlation between quarterback and one receiver.
Okay.
Is greater than quarterback and 2. And
interesting.
Fields, it's a little bit different because he takes off and runs, right? But even a traditional quarterback. So I just put Auto 2 just for the thrill of doing it. I put Smythe. I locked in Smythe because he's cheap. Boy. Cody likes him, right? So if he happens to be, and if you look at what happened was we have the 4-player projection partners, FTN Data, RotoWire, SportRadar, Sports.io, and then the blend, our special sauce, we call it, of the 4, and you'll see the diversity. Nobody's probably going to play him, so you could get really low ownership on Baker Mayfield. You got him, and then you're able to stack McCaffrey, Sanders, like you said, Godwin. So there's the correlation, Mayfield to Godwin. You got Tyreek Hill, Mims, the rookie, and with Denver, you like their Smythe, Jamar Chase, and the Commanders' defense.
They keep throwing that Commanders' defense out there, and obviously the Arizona Cardinals situation is bleak this week. Hey, let me get Keith. Let me get DJ's question up here right quick. So answer that, and then DJ in return, you need to hit that like, hit that subscribe button. That's all we ask for. Cody, full pick one flex, full PPR, Hopkins. K Herbs, okay, I think that's Khalil Herbert. I didn't know he had a hip hop name. Raheem Mostert, Hollywood, Marquise Brown. Okay, leaning Mostert, Nuke, DeAndre Hopkins for safe volume. Herb scares me because of Foreman and Roshan. Hollywood, I'm not really considering because of the quarterback. So pick one flex in the 4-point PPR. I would go Khalil Herbert.
Okay.
Nobody else is there.
I like you like Mostert from what I'm thinking, Cody.
Yeah,
you were talking
I was gonna say
was
based on our conversation. It makes sense that you like Herbert because you like that game. I kind of like that Miami game. I like the Miami Chargers game. I think that one isn't gonna disappoint from the point factor this year. I do think I have Mostert way up at running back 9 this week.
Okay.
Because I think the usage, like I talked about with A-Chain a minute ago, I think the usage is just going to be, 20 plus touches for Mostert. And all you need with Mostert, as anybody knows with the speed guys, like the Tyreeks and stuff of the world, it just takes one, right? It just takes one time to get to the outside, and he's 72 down the sideline. So I would roll Mostert there, but I can 100% see the Khalil Herbert thing at running back just because I think as much as I love Roshan Johnson, I know that Khalil Herbert's going to get that work week 1. So I don't think you can go wrong with either of these guys. I think your upside play is going to be Mostert, and I think you have a safe floor with Khalil Herbert, however.
This Washington thing is interesting. I would, if I'm at the sports book or laying a couple down this week, I would play Washington defense as an anytime touchdown scorer. I think that's a good look right there. You got Montez Sweat, Jonathan Allen, what's big boy named Payne. Chase Young's supposed to be a part of this too, but he may not ever play again. He's on, I don't know what's up with Chase Young. You know what I'm saying? He tore his ACL 2 years ago. But But here's the deal. So I like Commanders defense as a possible touchdown scorer, get in the paint, cause some disruption on those young quarterbacks. What about Jahan Dotson this week? He seems like he's an interesting piece this week.
I
like
think
him.
so, right?
Yeah.
We've seen a lot of missed time from McLaurin due to his turf toe. We were talking to the sports doc the other day, Dr. David Chow, and he basically, this was like a week and a half ago, he basically said, this is much deeper than they've kind of put out. And now we did see some clips of McLaurin running around this past week, but I don't think we saw. I can judge a video by just judging a video. I'm obviously not a medical professional or anything, but it didn't look like that was like McLaurin at top speed. I'm just going to put it that way. And we know what Dotson is, right? We know Dotson is a lethal route runner just as well as McLaurin is. And I think that if McLaurin is on any type of cutback, right? If he's on 70% of snaps or 65% of snaps, whatever it is, that's only going to be an increased output for Dotson. So I think definitely even in this matchup against Arizona, where it's a depleted roster completely top to bottom, that you're going to see Washington pushing the football and Sam Howell pushing the football downfield. Another one I'll sprinkle out there. We keep talking about deep names. I'm going to go to it. It's the shower narrative. De'Ami Brown with Sam Howell from North Carolina, right? De'Ami Brown is almost on that last leg, but I've heard, I think 3, maybe 4 interviews with Sam Howell this offseason. And without being asked, hey, what do you think about De'Ami Brown? He said, something about this receiving room or something about your comfortability with this offense. And he naturally brings up De'Ami Brown and that connection. And what do we know about De'Ami Brown? The only thing we know about him is he can run a straight line really fast.
Okay.
And
he
it's
catch.
Kadarius
Tony can't.
It's kind of the same thing with like Jalen. I brought up Jalen Guyton earlier. This is that type of dart throw, right? This is not a guy you're gonna juice into all your lineups because he's gonna get targets. This is the guy you're throwing a complete 30-yard dart on, right? And it's gonna be, is he gonna catch 3 footballs for 102 and a touchdown from Sam Howell in week 1 because he's had that rapport with him for a year or 2 years at North Carolina, and now he's got all the practice reps because Sam Howell wasn't taking first team reps last year and De'Ami Brown wasn't taking first team reps last year. They were working both on the second team. Maybe like that's an angle I'm going to take with this Washington game. So but I'm going to throw just a couple of them long darts on De'Ami.
Okay, I can get behind that because I was looking at Dotson. I was looking at King Henry this week. I think Tennessee runs the ball well. And I think that's a possible low-scoring game. Oh, Chris Olave. I like Chris. Anybody on Chris Olave this week? Or just me with Chris Olave this week?
I think he's number 1 wide receiver. I think he's clearly the number 1 wide receiver, right? It's the same for me. And
maybe you don't like that game. What is it?
No, I like the game. I do. I think Tennessee's obviously just like a kind of a random one right now. We don't exactly know what they're going to be, how they're going to be. We don't know the competency level of this offensive line. We assume Tannehill's going to be targeting Hopkins heavy, but Burks came back to practice. I saw the Tennessee Titans in training camp, and Chico Conquo was a big feature on third down. They ran this third down 3-minute drive series where they targeted Chig like 6 times out of like 10 plays. So he's going to be a guy that's going to be a part of that offense. We just don't know what the Tennessee team is, right? The defense is hit or miss. The offensive line's bad. But I think when you look at that New Orleans side, I love New Orleans this year. I got them as the NFC South champion easy this year by a couple, 3-4 games. So I love Carr. I love Olave. I think Thomas is fine. Talk about the tight ends, the running backs, et cetera, et cetera. But yeah, I think Olave should be in conversations, in fantasy terms, in DFS terms, the same as Amon-Ra St. Brown, the same as some of these other guys that are just target hogs, because his floor is amazing, right? He's the number 1 in that offense. As much as if Michael Thomas even comes back at 80% of what he once was, and Michael Thomas gets his 6, 7, 8 targets a week, Olave's still should be getting 8 to 10 a week, hands down.
We just had a line move. The Cleveland Browns are inching closer and closer to the Cincinnati Bengals. I wouldn't be surprised if this game goes off as a pick'em, to be honest with you. I believe something the Browns are like 5-1 in their last 6 versus the Bengals, something like that. So it seems like it's some respected money attacking the Cleveland Browns. But if you turn that into DFS, Deshaun Watson was like Zach Wilson last year. He was bad. Is he ready to bounce back? Because if you go to Cleveland's offense, what do we Nick Chubb and then what?
Yeah, they
Elijah
brought in
Moore.
Yeah, they brought in Pierre Strong because Jerome Ford's banged up, so it should be a Nick Chubb focus, right? And they paid Njoku in the last year, Amari Cooper, right?
Coop's the
Then
man,
what?
and it's not cold,
Is
so he'll be
Tillman
good.
is Tillman going to overtake Donovan Peoples-Jones, or are we just all sleeping on Donovan Peoples-Jones, right?
DPP.
Yeah, and Elijah Moore is also there, and we have obviously seen the training camp hype that he received over the last 3 months. So it's another offense. I wouldn't say it's similar to Tennessee. I think we have a better idea what it's going to be because there's more bona fide talent there, and younger talent. But the biggest question is what is Deshaun Watson? Literally, you mentioned it. Is he Zach Wilson? Is he Baker Mayfield of the last couple of years? Or is he back into the competency level of quarterback? Is he back into Kirk and the Dak and is he inching himself back up? I don't know.
No, it's interesting because I think it was yesterday. I was like, he's kind of like on that Ben Simmons career path where it looked like a Hall of Famer and then wham, you know what I'm saying? So hopefully he can pick it back up and return this year, Daryl, because I'm telling you what, if he went down that Ben Simmons path, that would be terrible. Now, I do feel pretty good that Justin Jefferson is an anytime touchdown scorer. Jacksonville and Indianapolis, 46.5, big total on this one. I think it's going to be a lot of people. This Philadelphia and New England line just went off the board too. So it looks like that's getting ready to flip. A couple of wide receivers I want to talk about, Calvin Ridley and Devontae Adams. Calvin Ridley, I think a lot of people are excited about his return to football this year. He's going to be on that fast track in Indianapolis with the Colts and the Jaguars game. I don't really like divisional matchups because the familiarity makes me think that the score is going to be lower than what people think it's going to be. But maybe Indianapolis can't push back and Jacksonville can run all over them, Cody.
And if that happens, what's Indianapolis going to be doing the whole third and fourth quarter?
They're going to be throwing the ball to Michael Pittman. Or is it Alec Pierce?
And as soon as Jacksonville drops 8, what are they going to do?
Yeah, there you go. Let it fly.
They're going to drop 8 defense, and Anthony Richardson's just going to go for a jog every play.
That's right. Yeah. So are we doing Anthony Richardson in week 1? Because I remember Cam Newton's week 1, and it was pretty electric. Cam Newton came out and killed in week 1. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I mean, I'm on it. Like I'm game for it. I'm scared of this team, like similar to I'm scared of Tennessee. I'm scared of this team, but
yeah,
I trust A Rich. And I will say, going through the early part of the draft process, I will come out and say, I said he should go back to school because he needs it. He needs another year of polishing from the passing game. But it's as you sit and you go through the process, it's like, dude, look at these legs, man. His legs are so. If he goes back to college, he would have rushed for literally 1,500 yards and won the Heisman just rushing, right? Yeah. And when you get to the process,
made more, and he probably would have got a bigger NIL deal than he did his first year rookie contract.
Could have transferred to Bama and got an NIL deal. That's probably what he should have done. But
crazy,
right? But so yeah, I think exactly that though. Like he's shown so much over the last 5 months of growth through the draft process, coming into the season, even though you do see the reports of, oh, this guy's in there, 8 hours today. It's like, I know a lot of players in the NFL a lot of quarterbacks are in 8 hours on days off to work, but it is nice to see things like that from a rookie quarterback, especially after seeing some documentaries this summer about some guys that maybe didn't go in there and work on team stuff. But I think Richardson is a guy that is going to build that camaraderie with his wide receivers, his Pittmans, his Downses, his Pierces of the world. I think he wants to win. And I think, you look at those legs, like it is literally a combination of Cam Newton and Lamar Jackson in the lower half. And it's really tough to argue that. So as far as playing him in week 1, I don't see how you can't at least throw him in a handful of lineups.
Yeah, exactly. He could, Daryl, he could break it. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. He's the guy. If he hits, he hits. It gets over, right?
Yeah. What I think he'll end up doing is causing Taylor to figure out how to settle, because Taylor's going to sit and watch that team, and then he's going to imagine, what if I'm in there, right? And you see Richardson, and you've got, 2 backs, Hull and the other guy, that Jackson, is it? Who's the other?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think Richardson's going to take off more and run because, there's no Taylor there. And I think, like you say, Pittman and Pierce and Downs, I think that think about what growth that he'll have the first 4 weeks. And if Taylor does decide to come back, that team all of a sudden, like it becomes more of a force. So
Lethal.
we'll see. Yeah.
All right. We need to get so really this is the goal of this program was to put a lineup together. We haven't done that, right? So I was not prepared for this, full disclosure, you know what I'm saying? But Cody, hopefully you got a lineup. While you get that ready, I want to put my man DJ Duvernay, who is a subscriber now. He put I guess he wants us to handicap his fantasy matchup. This is fun. so pop that on the screen. Yeah, let's do it. So I wish I had my pen over here. Team one is
we don't got no damn paper.
Yeah, no. Team one is Geno, Pollard, and Cook. Diggs, who's Michael Thomas? Okay. Let's just. So Geno, Pollard, and Cook. Diggs, Michael Thomas, and Andrew / likely Raheem Mostert in the Ravens defense. So let me see. I'm a James Cook supporter. I love Geno. Michael Thomas in the starting lineup is a little bit troublesome for me. If that is Michael Thomas,
especially in two receivers.
Yeah, exactly. This must be a Cooper Kupp team or something. If Michael Thomas is in the lineup, and you probably should have better than that. Then the opponent is Joe Burrow with ETN, Jamal Williams. This is a 15-team league. My God. Lamb and Pickens. You know what I'm saying? So Burrow, ETN, Williams, Lamb, Pickens, Waller, Dalvin as the flex, the Commanders defense. Man, this both teams need to draft better. You know what I'm saying? Depending on what
something's
size
off.
of the league.
Something's off
because
with
why
the
is
depth at
Pickens
running
in
back
the
and
starting
receiver?
lineup? Yeah, exactly. Jamal Williams in the starting lineup too. So this must be a 25-team league. Hey, if I was to have to put a wager on two fantasy teams betting on each other, give me the Geno team because you got Tony Pollard and James Cook and Stephon Diggs.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the Geno team by 6. That's gonna be mine. I really like.
We even gave you a point spread.
I'm not gonna say I really like the Burrow team, but like I think both these defenses are fun. I think both the tight ends kind of equate, but I think I don't know. I think I just lean the Geno and the receivers over the Burrow and those receivers. That's all right. That's close.
All right, there you go, DJ. No, don't. All right, there you go. All right, Cody, what's up? We need a lineup. It's on you, brother. I'm sorry to do this to you, but this is my first day.
Brother, we got one. I know Daryl's gonna have one here cooking too. So
okay.
We haven't talked about one game that I do want to gauge your thoughts on because you brought up a name in the game, Devontae Adams.
Love him.
The Denver and the Raiders game, right? Where's your head at on Russell Wilson? Firstly, I want to know that.
I think Russell Wilson's a stiff. I think Russell Wilson's a stiff. I think Russell Wilson is on the back end of his career.
Okay. You just really be transparent on what your thoughts are.
He said, "You're hot. You're keeping something back."
This is what we're here for. We're here for the real content. This is the real content. So I have this thought, right? Because Joe Lombardi's there. And all the injuries that have happened, it tells me that Cortland Sutton's probably going to be the beneficiary of all these targets. Mm-hmm. Now, I've seen a lot of Greg Dulcich conversation. I know he's gotten cheaper and cheaper in fantasy drafts. Rumors and people that I talked to at a couple training camps that have been to Denver and talked to people in the building in Denver, I would lean more towards Dulcich not being on this roster by week 9 than I would towards him being a top 5 fantasy asset at the tight end position. I'll just leave it at that. So I'm not big on the Dulcich side of things because I think that, we saw the depth charts come out early with Adam Trautman at number 1, and everyone was like, wow, it's the early depth charts. Just ignore that, right? Trautman was with Peyton in New Orleans. That's real. Trautman being the number 1 tight end there. From what I've heard from the conversations I've had, that's real. Like that. Now the wide receiver room, everybody heard the Judy injury, the Tim Patrick injury, the KJ Hamler stuff. It looks pretty clearly that it's Mims and Sutton that have gotten that work over the last couple of weeks, but Cortland Sutton playing that outside role that we saw Mike Williams excel at with Lombardi. We saw Michael Thomas excel at with Lombardi. If Sutton's healthy, and Sutton's a guy that, it's the post-hype sleepers, right? It's the post-hype guys that everyone hyped up Cortland Sutton the last couple of years, and now this year you haven't heard nothing because the quarterback, like you said, was a stiff last year, and now what is this team going to be? We think it's going to be run-centric, but Javonte's coming off an injury, and they like Pirine. I don't know. Part of me believes in Russ and Cortland Sutton as a duo in week 1, just because we are talking about a rookie in Marvin Mims, and I love Marvin Mims, but we're talking about a combo of Russ and Cortland Sutton that have been playing together for a year now. So
they do have that chemistry now. They do have that.
Yeah, that's the only angle I really have on that one. I just don't think that the Vegas Raiders defense is really on par as far as the back end goes. So I think the front end is going to be fine with Crosby and Tyree Wilson, even without Chandler Jones. But I think the back end, I think you can make a conversation. Now the stacking's the tough thing.
I'm not like, a lot of people dislike the Raiders because I think people don't like the Raiders because people don't like Jimmy G. Right,
that's a big part.
The public does not like Jimmy Garoppolo, despite 2 NFC Championship games in the Super Bowl, and the only Shanahan quarterback that can really win the games for him until Purdy got lucky last year. Let me not say Purdy got lucky. So Devontae Adams, Josh Jacobs, and the Raiders number just keeps pushing closer and closer to the Broncos number. I think this is an upset special. So Josh Jacobs and Devontae Adams should see some DFS love, in my opinion, this week. You got 2 guys there. You know who the ball going to, Adams and Jacobs.
I think Jacobs is a very interesting one. Adams is clear, right? He does have a matchup with Patrick Surtain, but
true.
Adams is still Adams. He was a wide receiver 1 against Surtain last year in his opportunity, but I think it's going to be a fun matchup. I think Jacobs is a very interesting one because his Denver defense, the front end, it's good, but it's not what it was a couple years ago. So I do think that's an angle you can lean on is Jacobs in that game. So the roster I have built here, and now I just talked about Cortland Sutton and all this stuff, but I think the favorite one that I got out was from the blend, and that's Anthony Richardson at 5,600 at quarterback, Aaron Jones, who we talked about, 6,300, McCaffrey, Chase Claypool, Chris Godwin against the Vikings. I think that Tampa Bay, Minnesota game is very interesting. Very interesting because it's indoors in Minnesota, and the Vikings back end is just a sieve. And I think Tampa, from a lot of people I've talked, not a lot of people, from a couple people I've talked to, they like Tampa more so than I do. And I just like to listen to other people's thoughts and things like that. It's like, well, this team should be good. And I'm like, why? Well, the offensive line shouldn't be as bad as it was, and the defensive front's fine, and et cetera, et cetera. You look at the talent there. Chris Godwin, Marvin Mims in that Denver game, Mark Andrews if he plays, Jamar Chase at wide receiver with the Commanders defense.
All right, there you go right there. I'm comfortable with that, Daryl.
I'm going with that one.
I got my lineup has some pieces. I used the blend as well. I didn't lock it at an auto stack too. You got Lamar Jackson going up against the Houston defense, which doesn't scare me. You got Rashad White in that Tampa Bay backfield, Miles Sanders for Carolina. I want to see him play a game with that offense, but Tyreek Hill in that Charger game with the Dolphins, Godwin, the receivers, Smith-Schuster, Mark Andrews. So there's a correlation with Jackson, Mims from that Denver game. And then I think the chalk is going to be that Commander's defense, right? I mean, can you name the Arizona quarterback who's starting?
I think they just named Dobbs. I thought Toon was going to start, but they just named Dobbs. It's putrid.
Right. But if you poll people on the street that are avid fans, like, could they name the Arizona quarterback?
No.
Boy,
no, exactly. They probably need to start Toon, but I believe they are going with Dobbs. Now the Baltimore's defenses could be in the same situation. Rookie quarterback on the road making his first start. So that's a similar situation to what you have down the Parkway. Down the Beltway, right there in Washington. So all right, there you go. Get you a couple lineups right there. This was fun. You know what I'm saying? Hit that QR code. Get a 7-day test drive for $1 of the optimizer. If you haven't hit the subscribe and like buttons yet, please go ahead and do that. Get that done. For my man Steezy, for Cody, and for the founder of Sportstopia, listen, sportstopia.io, live right now. Go check it out. Thank you for rocking with us today. It's your boy, Corey Parson, the fantasy executive. For the rest of the crew, we are out.